Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is your independent England football supporters podcast. I hope you're well. I hope you enjoyed the preview episode. Thanks to Stephen and Joe on there for giving me their guide to both Greece and Ireland. I think it's safe to say a fair bit has happened since then. Thankfully, this isn't a podcast about referees. This whole David Coote situation is just embarrassing, not just for him, referees, and just the game in general. I have to say, I do wonder about the game at times. This wasn't what I grew up with as a youngster. It's all changed. Anyway, let me move on from, sounding like an old man. I think I mentioned I could see Cole Palmer and Declan Rice withdrawing on the last episode. This despite them both starting against each other at the weekend in that 1-1 draw between Chelsea and Arsenal. I have to say I didn't see 8 withdrawing. It was both Cole Palmer and Declan Rice. They withdrew. Alexander-Arnold, Levi Colwill, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Aaron Ramsdale and Bukayo Saka. I genuinely can't remember the last time that many withdrew from one squad before a training ball was even kicked. For the first time in a long time, as a fan, I feel a bit disrespected. I thought the days of players withdrawing were gone, especially in this sort of number and maybe the attitude with it. Gareth Southgate had the respect of the players, and it seemed that they wouldn't pull out without good reason. Not that he ruled with an iron fist, but he built that rapport and the respect of what it meant for playing with England. And within 4 games, it seems it's gone. This is, it feels like Keegan, McLaren, Capello vibes. I have dug about a bit for some context. Keegan, his first squad back in 99 against Poland, 7 withdrew. Steve McLaren in a 2006 friendly against the Dutch, he actually had 8 withdraw, although one of those was for the birth of one of the players' children. I think we can grant him that. 6 pulled out of Roy Hodgson's 2013 squad against Chile and Germany. And I did mention Gareth Southgate. You'd probably think back to the Nations League final of 2019 in Portugal, because that was shortly after the Champions League final between Liverpool and Tottenham. Now, there were 9 players involved in that. Only 4 withdrew, and only 2 of those were from those Champions League sides. 2 were from Spurs. One game you may remember that Gareth did have a few issues with was the 2023 Malta and North Macedonian squad, where he lost 5 players. It is something that happens. It doesn't happen hugely often, but when it does, as it has here, and with the circumstances around it, it does make you think, it does make you question things. What's going on? I mean, the players will cite injuries for pulling out, and you could say the season has been pretty hectic of late. Domestic games, European games, domestic game, European games. That's the way it is. That's the way the game is now. But I do wonder if there is the Lee Carsley factor. Do players want to be playing for an interim manager, especially after that Greece debacle? Why was he calling up players who he must have known have potential injuries? He's got his staff around there that will know more on other players or teams and what's going on. Would 8 players be pulling out of a Thomas Tuchel squad? I hope not. I can't see it. There's no way that would happen. But you have to ask the question, why isn't Tuchel in charge now? Are the FA to blame? The FA are to blame, I think, for not bringing him in sooner. They should have had more of a backbone and said, no, you're in now. You want the job? We want you now. Because he gave the impression he just wanted him for the World Cup, for the qualifiers, for the tournament in Canada, the States and Mexico. And as it seems at the moment, we're heading to Athens with, quite frankly, an inexperienced, weakened team needing a result so that we're not going to be involved in a Nations League playoff next March. 2 games that Tuchel will have to show some interest in if that's the way these cards fall, because I think there's a chance that we're going to be in that playoff. I mean, this may have potentially backfired horrendously on the FA. And I'm clearly getting ahead of myself here, but if we come away from Greece with knocked confidence, then Ireland on the Sunday could be very, very tricky. They'll be well up for that if they know that we're susceptible. And I say this as I'm supposed to be packing my bag to head out for Athens. It has wound me up. I have to be honest. I don't usually feel like this, but I kind of feel if I'm making the effort, as many others are, it feels like the team and the players, I don't share that effort. And then, you know, we're all going to be looking at the next set of Premier League fixtures once this break is over, aren't we? Ticking off who is back in action. Oh, look, Declan Rice is back. Bukayo Saka. Oh, Trent's back playing for Liverpool. You know it'll happen. But I do have to say, the players that has dropped out, he's replaced. Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers gets his first call up. Jared Bowen from West Ham is back. Jared Braithwaite from Everton. Tino Livramento, bless him. I think he's been called into the squad at late notice on the 3rd occasion, but still hasn't got a game. And James Trafford of Burnley comes back into the squad. But it makes you wonder, how do those players feel? Oh, we're second best. It's only because Levi Colwill has dropped out, I've got a game. Or, oh, Phil Foden and Jack Grealish, Pep Guardiola's called them back, that I'm getting a game for England. Yeah. Right. Where's my passport? Good morning. Welcome to Athens. I think I've calmed down a little now. I've let the whole squad players issue go now. Nothing I can do about that. But yeah, welcome to Athens. I am currently sitting on a fancy little Airbnb balcony after arriving last night. Got in at about, I think it was about 11:15 in the end, and by the time I got here, just gone midnight. Fortunately, didn't have to get involved with this new passport system that had been spoken about. I think it's EES or ESS, where they're going to take your fingerprints and all that. Yeah, fortunately, didn't have to get involved with that, so that was a result. Went through, got the metro, got a quick bite to eat and a beer, and I wake up this morning, and to my left of this balcony, about, well, I don't know, it's probably about a mile away, but there, up high, is the Acropolis. Slightly hazy. I think there was a time when people said about Greece being hazy and all the pollution. I don't know if that's still a thing, or it might just be the early morning haze. I don't know. But I'm going to go and get some breakfast. Ticket collection opens very soon, and yeah, who knows? I may end up there at the Acropolis, looking down on my balcony here. So let's go see what we can find. So, I've collected my ticket. I say ticket, it's a bit of paper with a holographic sticker attached to it. it'll get me in. That's the main thing. Anyway, I have made my way from the guys who've given out the tickets, and picked up a couple of free lions, as is tradition, and I've made my way to, well, it's the main tourist attraction in Athens when here, isn't it? It's the Acropolis. A couple of stops on the metro, easy peasy, up a hill, and here I am. See, you've all seen the pictures. It's fantastic building, piece of architecture, I think is what it actually is. It's got his scaffolding around it, unfortunately, but I guess that is the way for something that is thousands of years old. I don't quite know how many millennia it is old, but it's still fantastic. I think I've been to Athens 3-4 times now, and I think every time I've been here it's something that you just got to do, and for €10, why not? But there's something here that I think is just as magnificent, other than the Acropolis, whilst I'm standing up here, and the Acropolis is behind me. It's the view out towards the sea is fantastic. And on a bright sunny day like today, and there was talk of it being a bit drizzly, so I'm glad I've got up here early whilst the weather is still good, and whilst there aren't too many crowds, whilst there aren't too many tour groups, school groups, there's a few around. But you can see this just mass of buildings, white-walled buildings. I think when I was at school they called it a megatropolis, or something like that, where two cities collide, I don't know. And it goes all around this hill that the Acropolis is sat on, just white-walled buildings as far as you can see. It's quite soothing, really, to know that, well, there's lots of people up here, but there's millions of people all down below, and you barely hear it, really. You can, obviously, a few sirens you hear here and there, but I could sit up here for hours, to be honest, just gazing out. It's a bit of a happy place, really. You could quite easily lose yourself up here, but I don't have time to lose myself up here. What I can see, though, just to my left, is in the preview episode I mentioned there was like a running track, sort of old Olympic stadium. I'm not like new modern day stadium, like olden days Greek, and I can just see that. I can see the corner of it, so I'm going to make my way down the hill here, and I'm going to try and get myself over there. But if you ever get a chance to come to Athens, I can highly recommend just coming up here and spending some time just looking out. Here it is then. What's that, a 20-25 minute walk across town from the Acropolis? And I'm standing outside the Panathenaic Stadium. I think that's what it's called, the Panathenaic Stadium. I'm going to get myself a ticket to go in a moment, but just like from the outside, you can see in, like, oh look, there's the Olympic rings right at the very end. It's like flags, Greek flags. It's probably the home of the original ancient Olympics, I'm guessing, without going in yet and learning a bit more. How have I never been here? I said earlier, I've been here 3-4 times, and I've never been here. Greek flags, Olympic flags, all flying at the front. Looks like some sort of cinder track inside. I'll get myself a ticket. I'm going in. It is the site of the original first Olympic Games, and I'm sitting on the furthest back seat. Oh my! There's a black track down in the centre. I assume it's still 400 metres, but it's stretched incredibly. And at one end, down on the ground, there's a little podium, first, second and third, and you can stand on the top spot, first place, and have your photo taken. And in the background there are the Olympic rings. this is a part of history, and that it's amazing. And from where I'm sitting on this top seat, the top tier, to my right, I can see up on the hill there is the Acropolis. There are people doing laps of the running track. I mean, why not? If you're into your running, come and have a run round the original Olympic running track. All the while, there's cars, motorbikes, scooters, buses, all just pootling past on the outside. So I've just come back to the apartment where I'm staying. Had some local food, some moussaka, some mythos. It was all right. Enjoyed that. Just come back to have a bit of R&R before I head out towards the game. And whilst I was out, I saw so it appears Jared Branthwaite from Everton, who was called into the squad following the 8 withdrawals, he has failed to overcome an injury, and he's returned to Everton. So that now makes 9 withdrawals from this squad. Lee Carsley has apparently said that Jarell Quansah has come into the squad, but it's just too much. And that brings me on to Harry Kane, something that I've seen him talk about on an ITV interview. Kind of takes me back to the beginning of this episode where I said about the players that pulled out. Have a listen to this.
If there's one thing Gareth Southgate put in place that you and other senior players need to ensure isn't lost, what is it?
I think the joy to play for England. I think he brought that back. I think every camp people were excited to come. Every camp people wanted to play for England. And yeah, that's the most important thing. I think England comes before anything. England comes before club. England is the most important thing you play as a professional footballer. So and Gareth was hot on that, and he weren't afraid to make decisions if that started to drift from certain players.
Are you feeling it might have drifted this week?
It's a shame this week. Obviously, I think it's a tough period of the season, and maybe there's been taken advantage of that a little bit. I don't really like it, if I'm totally honest. I think, like I just said there, I think England comes before anything, any club situation.
This is our England captain speaking. I think he speaks for all England fans. I think this is how the majority of us are feeling. If the England captain is saying this, it should send a message to those players that have pulled out, have sort of taken this opportunity to maybe have a rest. I don't know. It's great to see Harry Kane saying that England comes before anything else. He's gone up in my estimation. I tell you what, it's a good job it's a full moon of sorts, because there's very little in the way of floodlights or floodlighting to guide you to any sort of entrance. There's no one pointing the way. It's not like being on Wembley Way where it's all lit up and the arch is lit. There's nothing here. There's no lights. This is actually quite a big site, and the more I think about it, I guess the fact it is an Olympic stadium, having been fortunate enough to have visited various Olympic stadiums throughout the world. I've been to the Beijing, or the Bird's Nest. It's called the Bird's Nest. The Sydney Olympic Stadium. Obviously, there's what is West Ham's ground now, but the Olympic Park there in London. They are so big, they are so spread out, and I guess having the Olympics here in 2004, I might well be walking past the Olympic pool for all I know. It's that dark I can't see into it. There we are. I look to be getting towards... I'm getting towards a stadium of sorts here. There's some sort of arches with floodlights along the top of them as another police wagon passes me. Yeah, this is the stadium here. It's white, as you'd expect it to be, as is everything else in Greece. It's got these two arches either side, which I guess hold up the roof in a suspension type of manner. And into the ground we are. There was a big sort of drama about having to have your passport to get into the ground. Needless to say, no passport check was seen, heard or done with. But the ticket, it's all done on like QR code. There's the stewards on the outside have got mobile phones rigged up to Ticketmaster and they scan the QR code. But as I said earlier, as I was like walking around, there's no light around the place, no floodlights. So when they're trying to scan the QR code, it's not clear enough for them. At one point he was asking me to stretch the ticket out so there was no creases in it. So he turns his torch on his phone and there you go. I'm scanned and through. But here we are. Okay, we're in the ground. As I said, from the outside it's all white. It's a two-tiered stadium. Bottom tier, upper tier. All white or off-white. There's some locals, or the Greek fans are starting to mill in. England fans are all hanging their flags up. The only place they've got to really hang flags up are down the front. So here I am sitting behind these flags, but I'll go through a few of those in a moment. Scoreboards either end. It is an athletics track, as you'd expect an Olympic stadium to be. So that's if you can look past that, as the long jump track as well. The dugouts are in on the the third lane of the athletics track. But no, it's all right as a stadium. It's half decent, and I imagine it's going to be fairly rocking later. I really think that the Greeks are going to make a bit of noise. I'd expect there to be a bit of pyrotechnics tonight. I think they'll bring some flares in. We will see. I'm still not confident of a positive scoreline, I have to be honest. So it looks like we've got a squad announced. I haven't announced it in the ground as yet. I've just looked at it online. Pickford in goal. Kyle Walker is captain tonight. Lewis, Gallagher goes in. Konsa, Gay, Bellingham, Gordon, Jones. Curtis Jones makes his first England appearance. Ollie Watkins and Noni Madueke. It's just struck me that there's no Harry Kane. I don't know if what he said earlier has had some sort of impact. Interesting. Just seen a banner hung up for George Baldock in the Greek end, which is a nice touch. Just literally says George Baldock in blue capital letters. Can be seen from all around the ground. And whilst we're talking flags, let's have a quick look around. There's one Ellesmere Port up there. There's Coventry, Leicester, Barkham AFC, I think that says. I think I need to start getting glasses. I can't read some of these from a distance. There's a Stoke one. It's always good to see a few with poppies on. Burnley one. And the Greek fans are finding their voice. We are an hour from kick-off. So that was the England team announced. Jude Bellingham got a reception. And this is the Greek team being announced. I think prior to the game here, just before they do the national anthems, the Greeks are welcoming the 2004 team onto the pitch. I guess it's
20 years ago.
Yeah, that was the manager, wasn't it? Otto Ryan. Unbelievable, it's 20 years ago that they won it. Minutes in, 1-0 England. Noni Madueke made that, done all the fighting down the side and crossed it, put it across the box. Ollie Watkins slid in, have that, shut the Greeks up.
Half time, 1-0. Ollie Watkins' goal is the divider, the separator.
We had a couple of other shots, a couple of other opportunities. Should have really scored Ollie Watkins right at the very end there.
Yeah, Greece had a few corners, but not really
made any impression on Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford's been winding them up, taking his time. Referee's been dishing a few cards out for, well, nothing really.
I'll tell you the annoying thing, there are lasers. People like the Greeks have got laser pens and they're picking out the English players. They're picking out us and the away end as well. So annoying, laser pens. Dangerous, obviously.
Right, let's hope we can carry this on in the second half. I don't know if Harry Kane will come on. We'll have to wait and see. I see a 2-0 game done and dusted, surely. We're that far away, I can't even tell you who scored. Yeah, maybe it's an own goal. No one's come up on the scoreboard. As I say, it was like a basketball match going backwards and forwards. Greece had a couple of opportunities. That's 3-0. I don't know who that was, but it's a cheeky little backflip right into the corner, and now the Greeks are going home. It's a Greek fella there with his flare out. He hasn't had the chance to use it all through the game. He's been itching, and now he's going home, so he's lit it. See ya.
And I'm back on my balcony, looking up to the Acropolis. Sun is a little hazy this morning, but it's looking like a nice day here in Athens. But it is time to go home. Got back here at about 2 o'clock. Don't know what this is. It's a van with a megaphone on it. Yeah, I got back at about 2 o'clock last night. It kept us behind for it's probably about 25 minutes in the end. So that wasn't too bad, to be honest. But I mean, I was fortunate last night that I got in early. I just decided to go early, and I missed, fortunately, from my own perspective, the England fans getting tear gassed or pepper sprayed. And in hindsight, I can see how that happened. Obviously, there was, by all accounts, no reason whatsoever for it to happen. But thinking back to going through those turnstiles, I think there were 4, 5 like turnstiles to go through. They were manned turnstiles. And when I was there, early there were maybe a couple of hundred people just going through, so there was no issues. It was steady going through. But then obviously as more people turn up, and as I explained, that there were, I mean, the guy trying to scan my ticket was having an absolute nightmare. And if that was slowing things down when thousands more people turned up, it's just going to cause issues. Clearly there weren't enough turnstiles to go through to the gates, and I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but from speaking to people who were pepper sprayed, it was totally unnecessary. I see that the Three Lions, the supporters trust, have mentioned it on their social media, and all I can say is if you're caught up in that, just go and seek them out and send your not thoughts but your experiences through to them. It shouldn't be happening. There's no reason for local police to be pepper spraying England fans. It's absolutely outrageous. Anyway, on the pitch though, 3-0, that was the job done. And I got thinking afterwards, I mean, I admit at the beginning of this episode I was maybe a little negative about the situation. No, I still am, but obviously the result has maybe proved that the result at Wembley with Greece, they were playing on emotion of the George Baldock situation. Obviously the England selection played into that as well. England just didn't have a good night. Greece took advantage of it, and then I thought with a second string England side starting out last night, that I thought Greece would relish that opportunity. They didn't. We stepped up and we were by far the better team. Just watching the goals back this morning, Curtis Jones' goal was fabulous. I did get a good view of it from high up in the stand where I was last night, but seeing it on the telly this morning on the highlights, yeah, cracking goal, well done. And it means that we are now top of the group. We are joint on 12 points with Greece, but the goal difference is superior in our favour, and I think that the head-to-head counts as well. The fact that we beat them 3-0 as opposed to their 2-1 victory puts us ahead. Ireland beat Finland last night as well. Means Finland are down now. They'll be relegated to League C for the next Nations League campaign, and it comes down now to Sunday. It's in our hands basically when we play Ireland. A win or a draw, and we are promoted, which is something that I don't think England have ever done before, been promoted, and I guess that should be with thanks to Lee Carsley. Right, I have got a plane to catch, so I'm going to round up my stuff and head on.
It's Sunday, and I'm making my way to Wembley for England's last game of the year. It's the Nations League. It's the final game of the group, home to Ireland. It's still a game with a lot riding on it. We need to win, and hope that Finland may do us a favour when they play Greece at the same time. There's still a few connotations around it, but yeah, we've got to be confident. But yeah, heading up to Wembley. Do you know what? There was talk that it might be a bit cold today. There was a little bit on the news, or people were saying the other day whilst I was out in Greece that there was talk of snow coming around. Thankfully, that hasn't materialised.
But it's all right. It's a bit autumnal, put it that way, for mid-November. It's certainly not as warm as it was in Athens the other day, but yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's going to be interesting. The team that Carsley puts out, as I said, it's as we all know, it is his last game. He's going to want to go out with a bang. He's going to want to go out with a positive result. He doesn't want to be remembered for the wrong reasons. So I've got confidence in him. Obviously, he's still without those 9 injured players. So, and the confidence that the team accrued from that result in Greece, it really was a good all-round team performance. So I think I'm confident that today, that we can get a result today, and we don't need to be keeping an eye on what's going on in Helsinki. But at the same time, you don't expect that Ireland are just going to come here and roll over. They're going to want to put a performance in. Apparently there's going to be a fair few Irish fans in and around Wembley. There was talk that they had sent some tickets back, but I think there's still going to be around 5,000 Irish fans in Wembley pushing on their side. We shall wait and see. As I say, I'm heading in towards London now. A couple of beers around Liverpool Street, then I'll make my way on.
I was saying earlier that the weather was all right, but it's changed now. It's a little bit drizzly now at Wembley. Team has been announced. Let me just run it through for you. A few changes. Pickford in goal, Walker, Gallagher, Gehi, Harry Kane, Bellingham, Gordon, Hall, Livramento, Jones and Madueke. Livramento, fair play to him. I think he's been selected for the 2 previous squads, and he's come in for this final game under Lee Carsley, and he's finally got a start, bless him. So yeah, fair play to him. But that is our starting 11. I don't know how many changes there's been, to be honest. There's a few changes there. We are, 15 minutes away from kick-off. As I say, it's going to be a slick surface. The Irish, they haven't filled out their section as yet, but there are plenty of Irish floating around, put it that way. It's a bit disappointing to hear some booing for the armed forces. Every game the armed forces come onto the pitch at Wembley, they lay out the flags, they lay out the banners, as they do every game. Do a fantastic job. Not just doing that, but obviously serving the country. And unfortunately, for the first time in a long time, I'm sitting at the opposite end to where I usually do, because I'm sitting at the end where the away fans are. And it was quite obvious that the Irish fans were booing the armed forces. I know why, but it's not nice at all to witness that. That wasn't on.
Please be outstanding if you're able for the national anthems of England and first the Republic of Ireland.
Obviously heard there the reaction to the national anthems. It was totally unsurprising. Came as no surprise that was going to happen, booing for each side.
Half-time score here at Wembley with excellent England 0, Republic of Ireland. Yeah.
So as you heard there, it's 0-0 at half-time. And as it stands at the moment in Helsinki, it's 0-0 over there between Finland and Greece. To be honest, England haven't really offered a great deal. We had a period of time where we had some corners, but nothing. Neither goalkeeper has had to make a save of note. It's Ireland just basically put 11 men behind the ball and have been stubborn and made it hard for us, really. Got to hope for a little bit more in the second half. Penalty for England. He's off! He's off! And a sending off for Ireland. So 5 minutes into the second half, Ireland down to 10, and off he walks. Harry Kane puts the ball on the spot. Tells you all you need to know. Harry Kane stepped up and put it. Keeper dived the wrong way.
Goal scorer for England, number 11,
Finding the spaces now. 2-0. Gallagher, 3 goals in 5-6 minutes. It's just come on, literally 15 seconds he must have been on the pitch. 4-0. Literally, he was 10-15 seconds on the pitch. Ricky Lambert done the same against Scotland years ago. Quality, 4-0. Too easy. Ireland are all over the place. England just taking advantage of every single moment.
goal scorer for his England debut, number 16. The full time score here at Wembley. England 5, Republic of Ireland.
So how about that then? 5-0. I must admit, I didn't see that scoreline coming, especially at half-time. But I think it's fair to say that sending off changed the game, changed it completely. Once they lost Scales, they lost control, they lost confidence, they lost 3 goals in quick succession. It was basically at that moment they lost the game. But that's taking nothing away from England. We took advantage, we were ruthless, something that we all want to see and hope to see once the new year begins. But the main thing is England are promoted for the very first time. Promotion as a concept for England and international football, well, it's only really been a thing since 2018-19. But the Nations League has its place in the calendar. And I, for one, I'm happy with that. But just taking a quick look around the leagues, on the same night as us, the Czech Republic, Norway and Turkey were also promoted from League B. Now the top league, League A, has slightly changed its format once again. It's no longer just the winners of each league going to the finals, to the semi-finals and then the finals. Now UEFA, in their wisdom, have introduced a quarter-final. So first and second advance to that. So at the time of recording, Portugal are through, France and Italy, Germany and Spain. So there are 3 other teams still to qualify for that quarterfinals. But as I say, the main thing is we are back at the top table, and credit should go to Lee Carsley for achieving it. It was a hard watch at times. There was ups and downs, but being promoted means bigger things going forward. And whilst it's no comparison, he will go into the record books as being the first man who done it. Just like Alf Ramsey won the World Cup, the first man to do that for England. But I think it is important to acknowledge Lee Carsley and the players that he brought in from the under-21s and gave debuts to. Morgan Gibbs-White, Angel Gomez, Noni Madueke, Curtis Jones, Lewis Hall, Morgan Rogers, Tino Livramento and Taylor Hardwood-Bellis. I think that was all of them, 8 of them. Which is something I'm sure Thomas Tuchel will be very appreciative of. But it'll be interesting to see who he uses going forward. But it's certainly food for thought. He's got 8 new players who will be eager to impress come March when we play once again. It's going to be exciting times. Thank you very much for listening. It is always appreciated. Just quickly, want to say hello and thank you to all of those that said hi whilst out in Greece, said that you tune in. It's really cool. Thank you very much. Even if it was just a quick hello or we had a bit of a chat, it was great to meet you. I'm rubbish with names. But yeah, there was a couple of you in and around the ground. There was someone just as I was coming away from the Acropolis as well. Thank you. Thank you very much for just tuning in. I will be back with you very soon. The Lionesses, they are back in action. Games against the USA and Switzerland. I'm having a daddy-daughter day at Wembley for that America game, which should be good. I have told her, though, not to get her hopes up too much for a result there. But hey, you never know. They may take inspiration from the men's side. But it should be interesting, and I hope to speak with Rich Laverty very soon all about the Lionesses. So until then, until the next time, take care of yourselves. Cheers.